Hi, my name's Amy Setman. I'm the Marketing Director at JCP Solicitors. In this series of short videos, we'll be chatting with members of JCP to answer your frequently asked questions. And today we're with Richard Howells, who is a Director and the Head of our Inheritance and Trust Dispute team. Hi Richard, thanks for joining us today.
Hi Amy.
So today we're going to talk about civil mediation, which is a service that is probably a little bit separate to the inheritance and trust dispute service that you offer within your team. It's more of a standalone service in the business, really. Could you just explain to us in a nutshell what we mean by civil mediation?
Civil mediation is intended to be a separate process, an alternative to litigation. Litigation invariably makes use of the courts, can be quite stressful, can be quite combative and quite costly. Mediation is intended to be an alternative to that. It's a voluntary process. It's intended to be flexible so it can adapt to the needs of the parties. It involves the use of an independent third party known as a mediator. They're a professional that's trained in the skills of mediation, and they're there to not make a decision for the parties. They're not a judge. They're not there to force their views on anyone, but perhaps to help the parties unlock positions of stalemate and
in a more of an amicable way.
Try and navigate around the problem rather than run straight into it.
I think when us Joe Blogs, people on the street with no legal background, think of mediation, we automatically think of kind of family law and family mediation. But what we're talking about here is actually mediation for different types of disputes. So I guess, for example, if I owned a business and I had a dispute with my other shareholders in the business, is that the kind of thing where civil mediation would be beneficial?
Yeah, civil and commercial mediation encompasses the full spectrum of issues and problems that both businesses and individuals may encounter. It can range from disputes between business owners of the direction a business is taking, to disputes concerning provision of goods and services, or even disputes as between private individuals over rights of way or boundaries or things such as that.
So as an individual, I could also think of going down the civil mediation route as well. Would I need to instruct a solicitor first, or if I had a dispute with someone, could I come straight to you as a mediator?
Either or, really. A lot of people do go to see a lawyer first, a solicitor first. They will then explain the mediation process, help to identify the issues that need further consideration and resolving, and help to prepare their client for the mediation. But it's not obligatory, and a lot of mediations do take place without solicitors present. It tends to be according to the parties' needs and wishes.
I'm guessing, is it as an individual or even as a business, it could actually be a more effective way for me to resolve a more effective and a more cost-effective way for me to resolve a dispute if I feel that the person I'm in dispute with is someone who perhaps I could get round a table at a mediation.
Certainly, I mean, the process is voluntary, so in order for a mediation to have the best chance of success, I think all parties need to come to it with an open mind and the right attitude. It's not the right forum, it's not the right place to prove who is right and who is wrong. That's what a court is there for. But more often than not, disputes don't need to be resolved by proving who is right and who is wrong. They just need a resolution, and often the best parties and people to find their resolution are the people themselves.
And I guess if I'm in business, for example, that can also help to protect ongoing business relationships, I guess, as well.
Certainly, litigation can be quite a destructive process. It'll give you a certain outcome, but it won't necessarily help with ongoing relationships. That can be important both in a business setting if you need to continue with that ongoing working relationship, but also in a family setting as well, where, for instance, with will disputes that I have a particular expertise in, litigation can be quite destructive to the personal relationship, and at the time of the dispute, people may feel like, well, I don't want to ever speak to my relative ever again, but when emotions calm down, the loss of that relationship can actually be quite can have quite an impact. It can be quite devastating.
And what do you think we're looking at in terms of timescale? So if I was to come to you to just go through court, for example, and I wanted to take it all the way, compared to if I was to come to you and say to you, my objective is to protect these ongoing relationships, what would the timescales be if we were trying to resolve that through mediation?
So perhaps taken out of order, the court process can sometimes take anywhere 12, 24 months or beyond, depending on the nature of the case, the level of complexity, and a whole host of other factors. Mediation, I mean, the process itself is usually a one-day process. Now, there is work that has to go into preparing for it to give it the best chance of success, but it's always a quicker and preferable process. There's been recent rulings by the court which have made it quite clear now that the court just doesn't consider its role to be to encourage people to mediate, but actually to make them mediate. And I think that is something which is going to mean mediation plays an increasingly important part in the dispute resolution.
Thank you. That's been really interesting today. And now the sales line, really. Why come to you? Why choose JCP and yourself for a mediation?
I'm not a great personal salesman, but I do have quite a large amount of experience in litigation. Although at the moment my area of expertise is contentious probate. In the past, I've dealt with commercial litigation, property litigation, environmental matters, rural matters. So I have quite a broad spectrum of knowledge on litigation matters. And the ethos we have in my team as a whole is to try and resolve disputes in a cost-effective and calm manner. As a team, we've never seen court as the first resort, but the last resort. And I think that shines through in the way we offer our mediation services.
That's very refreshing. Thank you very much, Richard, for your time today. And thanks for joining us. And please tune in next time for the next episode of Let's Chat with JCP.